Hi everybody, welcome to the next tutorial. So what we're going to do now then is we're going to take this direct-to-key stab and patch that we've literally just made in the previous video, drag this into our project, and now what we're going to do is pull that down onto our new composition symbol. Okay, and so here we are, here's our comp with our tripod etc patched out and all nice and stabilized, ready to go. But the next thing we need to do though, of course, is get rid of this guy, because what we want is this person who's our actor. This is the talent. That's what we're interested in the scene, and this is the director, and he is getting in the way, and not only is he standing behind the camera, he's also moving up and down and doing all sorts of things. Now, obviously, sometimes you might find that a director needs to be there, you know, and you just need to patch them out afterwards. Whatever, the point is we're going to get rid of this guy. So this is quite processor intensive. So the first thing you need to know about using this technique, which we're going to be using, which is the ContentAware Fill, is that it kind of, because it's processor intensive, what you want to be doing is making sure that you're only using it for the part of the footage you intend to use. So look, we've got 10 seconds where our talent is standing there waiting for the director to call, and he's walking backwards and doing his thing, and it's only around the 10-second mark that he kind of goes action like that. Okay, so we're going to come to the 10-second mark, and I'm going to move my playhead marker up to 10 seconds to make sure that I'm not using any processing power, wasting time rendering this first 10 seconds. Okay, then I'm going to move my playhead marker through, and he's walking up and down being a bit of a wally, and then he's gonna, and she's just stopped, and he's kind of gone cut like that, and she's stopped. So I'm going to say, all right, let's take it to there, just so we've got a bit of overlap. Okay, right, so that's our clip then. This is the bit that we want to get rid of him in. Okay, if that makes any sense. So what we're going to do is we're not going to add edits this time. We're literally going to do this inside the echo rectangular. So I'm going to zoom in. Okay, remember, hold down spacebar, move across so I can see him a bit better. Okay, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to take my pen tool, right, and I'm going to mask around him and also his shadow, because remember the shadow is going to be moving as well, and we want to get rid of it all. Right, so I'm going to click around like that. Now you want to try and keep the mask as close to him as you can, because what you don't want is to be having to use the ContentAware Fill to fill big gaps that you don't need to fill. Okay, but at the same time you've got to give him enough space that he's not going to walk out of the mask at any point. Try and reduce the number of nodes on your mask as well, because then it seems to work more quickly if you do that. So I'm going to draw a line around like that, draw a line around like that, that'll do. Okay, and then I'm going to come up to the end here like so, back to him like that, and then I'm going to do a mask there, and finally like that. Okay, so that's probably sufficient. I might, if I click here, come to this point and just move that back a little bit. Okay, move that down slightly because I'm going to feather this edge now. So I'm going to come into my this image here, masks, and I'm going to open up my mask 1 that I've just created, and I'm going to feather that edge out a bit. So that's looking okay. Yeah, 20 odd pixels should probably do it. Okay, now what I'm going to do is in mask 1 I'm going to go to none, and the reason for this is because I want to be able to see where the mask is going so I can move it with him before I actually start to use it. So I'm making sure my playhead is at the beginning of the clip, and I'm going to click on the stopwatch for mask path and also mask expansion in case I need it. Okay, and now I'm going to say, right, the moment he's standing still, so he's there, the mask is covering him at the moment, but now he's starting to move, so I'm going to add another keyframe on mask path here to say stay there for this first second. Now he's going to be moving, so he's walking out of that mask, so he's going to get to this point where he's turning like so, so about there. Okay, and now I'm going to click on mask path, and I can use my, I can just pick it up to be honest and move it over here. Okay, however, if you want to be smoother about it, I'm going to undo that. What I might do is click the mask path and then use my arrow keys. And the reason for this is that the more you pick it up and move it, the more it's going to kind of, it makes the movement more dramatic, even if you've only out by a few pixels. And so I know it takes a little while, but by moving it across with the arrow keys, you're actually kind of saving yourself a bit of a job in terms of the time used to render it long term, because you're limiting the amount of movement, because you're saying, I only want you to move from left to right, I'm not going up and down and all the rest of it. Okay, So I'm just going to move this across like so. As I say, a bit of a pain, but it's worth it because it'll take less time. There we go. And I'll probably do. The other thing you'll notice though, if I hold down the space bar to move it around, is of course the shadow, because it's an equirectangular, it's distorted and curved, so the shadow is now obviously coming out the edge of our mask. So the final thing we're going to need to do is click into our mask and then move this final node to make sure that the shadow is completely covered. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So that we're going to do now then, he's going to stand there for a bit. Okay, and then he's going to start walking back. Right, so I'm going to click another keyframe there, and now same sort of thing, zoom out one, he's going to move back to there, and that's the point where he stops. Okay, so mask path again, and then move it back like we did before. Okay, that should do. I'm going to click into the mask again. I'm going to move this node slightly and then bring this one back down. There we go. So now the key thing is to go through it again and make sure that the mask is obscuring him all the way through. And the way we're going to do that now is we're going to set our mask over here to subtract. So now it's going to take that bit out. And now what we need to do is watch through our footage, and we're looking for any kind of bits where a leg might kind of come into the shot because it's overlapping the mask, or any points where the shadow comes out of the edge of the mask, whatever. So we're kind of looking through and we're going to go in, right, are there any points where I can see part of the thing I want to get rid of, and it's looking pretty good. I'm kind of getting a sense that that's not, yeah, I think we've managed to mask him pretty well. Okay. Good. All right, so here's the sort of processor heavy bit now then. Okay, I mean, what I would tend to do is, now that it's rendered through, watch it through again in full time, sorry, in real time, just to make sure we're not seeing anything overlapping. No, that's all looking good. Okay, so this is the processor heavy bit then. As I say, what we're going to do is we're going to come to the ContentAware Fill. Okay, so if you can't see that, as usual, window and then ContentAware Fill, where there it is. So I've got mine obviously highlighted. As before, you can pick it up, dock it where you like. But what you're going to do now is you're basically saying, I've cut a hole in this clip and now I want you to fill it, and I want you to look around this hole in the clip, and I want you to fill it with your best guess at what ought to be there. You know, now because he's moving up and down, it's actually easier for the ContentAware Fill, because it can go, well, I've covered this bit at this point, but I know at another point in the clip there's bushes behind here. I can use those bushes and I can figure it all out. Okay, the only bit it tends to not do very well is the sort of the lines, and it's okay because we can work that out in a minute with the clone stamp tool. So I'm going to click Generate Fill there. Okay, now it'll say, yeah, do you want to save this? So I'm going to say, yeah, director patch, like so, into my documents, whatever, click save. And now it'll start analyzing the mask that we've just cut, and it'll start filling it with what it understands from the backdrop of the clip. And this is the point where you go and get a coffee, because it will take a while. So I shall stop the recording now, and I shall come back once it's done. Hi everybody. So now that that's finished, we should hopefully be able to see that we've got ourselves a pretty good, obviously the gap is because I've moved my cursor in front of my work area, but once we get into the work area we should be able to see that we've got ourselves a nice, there you go, yeah, that's not looking too bad. Obviously the caveat to all of this is that this won't work if you're trying to do the ContentAware Fill on something like a moving object. So if there's somebody else walking by that you need to have, then obviously you're going to have to do a much more complicated job of rotoscoping around the thing you want to get rid of. It also won't work very well on certain situations when the camera is moving. So you could use this to mask out a kind of dolly track. If the camera was on grass, for example, that might work. But next week we'll be doing a dolly track on a complicated surface, which is a textured carpet or patterned carpet, and this won't work. I've tried it many times and it just doesn't work. You know, so you have to do something else. Okay, but in this context, when the camera isn't moving, and we've got a nice static background, it works absolutely fine, as you can see. Now, there are still some issues, of course. What it's done is it's taken a little bit of the white line here from over here and put it over here, for example. So it's not quite perfect. So what we can do now is just, it's a simple matter of just going into a 2D edit like we've done before. So we go, yeah, that's fine. So here's our 2D edit. And obviously it's given us the full work area here, but as long as we come to a point where our mask is the ContentAware Fill has filled in, like so, we can now just use our clone stamp tool like we did before. Remember, double click, and now it's easy to just take bits of footage like so and just map those over the top like that. Okay, so that's fairly straightforward. I mean, I think, to be honest, that's pretty much done actually. It's not looking too bad. But yeah, anyway, you can kind of play with that to your heart's content, but I think that's looking okay to me. A little bit fluffy, but you know, we'll leave it at that for now. So I can go back to my output render, and now that's all looking nice and clean. And if I play it through again, then I've got my my director is completely lost, and I've still got my actor walking. So that's our finished scene. So now we should be able to color grade that, and we can export it, and we can add it to our Premiere timeline or our Final Cut Pro timeline, and we're good to go. Okay, so yeah, so that's another bit of housekeeping in After Effects for 360 footage. The next tutorial then is a bit more of a James-ism. That's I'm going to try and do a pull focus in After Effects. So this isn't standard workflow, this is something I've come up with. But yeah, if you've still got time in the session, you want to give it a go, then I shall see you in the next tutorial. Nice one.